Kids podcast with me, Darren Rees. It's day 2 of Super Week and it's time for another England legend. This time we'll be delving into the story of one of my favourite ever England players and one of the greatest strikers England has ever seen. And that, of course, is the brilliant Michael Owen. Before we do that, we need to do a few of your shout-outs and your messages, and all of these have come in from the super listeners on Patreon. The first one is a massive shout-out to Alfie, who is aged 5 and is a Manchester City fan who plays for Chertsey FC. His coaches have been brilliant all season and he has really enjoyed playing football for them. Well, Alfie, a massive shout out to you. Thank you so much for being a listener and a super listener, and I really hope that you enjoy this episode. The next one is a huge, humongous, gigantic shout out to Colin, who's aged 8 years old in the USA, and to his team, Mighty Tacos. I hope I've pronounced that right. They've just finished their season and Colin is always asking when the next episode of Football for Kids is. Well, Colin, here it is and you are a shout out on it. So I hope that you enjoy this episode and I thank you very much for being a super listener as well. And the next one is for Phoenix, who's aged 9, and his brother, Gideon, who's aged 7. They are from Tampa in Florida and they want to give a huge, humongous shout out to their brilliant, fantastic and sensational coach, Patrick. Well, a massive shout out to Patrick, to Phoenix and to Gideon. I hope that you all enjoy this episode and all the other ones which will be coming out in the next few weeks. And the last shout out on this episode goes to Caleb, who is age 6. Now, I'm of the understanding that the transfer market has opened up for Caleb because Caleb is moving house. And I know that when you're moving house when you're younger, it can be a bit of a nerve-wracking thing. So, Caleb is moving football teams. He's moving from London Football School to Shooting Stars. Now, Caleb, what I know is London Football School are very sorry to see you go, but Shooting Stars have got one hell of a player on their hands. So I wish you all the best of luck with your move and your move to a different football team, and don't you worry, it will be just fine. And lastly, I hope that your favourite player Maddison gets plenty of game time in the England squad. Right then, that's all we've got time for shout-outs and messages on this episode. If you'd like a shout-out or a message, you can ask an adult to send an email to footballforkidspodcast@gmail.com or head to the website www.footballforkidspodcast.com. It's time to get into the episode on the fantastic Michael Owen. Michael James Owen was born on the 14th of December in 1979 in a place called Cheshire, England. Michael had football in his blood and was born into a family where football was already very much part of everyday life, as his dad was a player called Terry Owen. Terry played for the likes of Everton, Bradford and Chester, just to name a few. It's said that Michael, who grew up in Wales, was introduced to football by his dad from a young age, and he took to it like a duck would to water. Michael Owen was said to be an Everton fan when he was a youngster, which makes sense as his dad played for the club. It must be pretty cool having your dad as a professional footballer, especially for a big club like Everton. Michael played football for school teams in his early days, and he stood out as not only an extraordinarily talented player, but someone who was a leader on the pitch. So much so that it wasn't long before he was wearing the captain's armband. Owen was so talented and so good when he was younger that when he was just 8 years old, he was regularly playing with teams full of lads who were a lot older than he was. Not only was he playing with the older kids, but he was running rings around him. Parents, coaches and other players would stand there with their mouths wide open, just staring at the skills and the ability of this young lad who could work wonders with a football. Owen's first proper club was a club called Mold Alexandra. It was in Wales. And after this, he joined the Liverpool youth team. It's said that there was plenty of interest from plenty of other clubs, including Manchester United, Chelsea and Arsenal to name a few. But a member of staff from Liverpool was so impressed with Owen that they wrote a letter to Michael and his parents explaining why they wanted him at the club. And that was one of the reasons why Owen ended up signing with Liverpool Football Club. Michael also ended up signing for the FA School of Excellence, and it wasn't long after this that he would start to represent his country of England. Owen played for the Three Lions from the under-15s, and he didn't just play for them, he was breaking records left, right and centre. Michael scored 28 goals in 20 games for the under-15s and the under-16s England side. And it's fair to say that this young lad's name was getting mentioned all across Europe. It's hard to explain how good Michael Owen was at scoring goals and skilling players. He scored in almost every game and often scored a hat-trick. He scored a hat-trick against Manchester United in the FA Youth Cup quarter-finals, and his final goal was the winner in extra time. In another game which Liverpool played against Palace, they were 3-0 down until Michael Owen had enough and got hold of a game and turned it around, making sure that Liverpool came out victorious. The kid was simply sensational. Michael kept doing his thing in the Liverpool youth team, scoring goals, skilling players and wowing coaches. On his 17th birthday, he signed a full professional contract with Liverpool Football Club. And this was the start of something very special. When Michael Owen was playing in the England under-18 side, one of the coaches who was heavily involved in the youth side of England football said that Owen was one of the best players he had ever seen. Owen stood out even in the company of the likes of David Beckham and Paul Scholes. Michael Owen was impressing people at all levels and was standing out regardless of who he was playing football with. Michael Owen played against Wimbledon in his debut for the Liverpool senior team at Selhurst Park. That is Crystal Palace's ground, a place for a number of years which Wimbledon played their games at. And in the 1997 season, when Michael was just 18 years old, Liverpool came third in the English top division, and Michael Owen won the Golden Boot, the award given to players who scored the most goals in a season. 18 years old and winning Golden Boots is quite frankly ridiculous, and it just goes to show how good Michael Owen was as a teenager. Over the years that Michael Owen played at Liverpool, he scored some truly tremendous goals for the club. And one of the teams that he absolutely loved scoring goals against was Manchester United. So many of his brilliant goals came against the Red Devils of Manchester. I don't know what it was, but Michael Owen couldn't help himself when it came to playing Alex Ferguson's Manchester United. Other than scoring great goals against Sir Alex Ferguson's team, he just loved scoring goals in general. And his two favourite types of finishing were either putting the ball through the keeper's legs or putting the ball across goal with the keeper stretching out wide but never getting a touch to it. Just stepping away from Michael Owen at Liverpool for a few moments, as we need to speak about the impact that he had on the senior men's England team. Owen, as a senior player, is still one of the most capped England players there has ever been. Michael Owen made his debut for England against Chile, and at the time, it made him the youngest player for England in the 20th century. Owen was so good for England that at 18 years old, he was made to be a part of the England squad for 1998, the France World Cup, one of the most famous and greatest World Cups of all time. After that tournament, he went on to play in the 2000 tournament in Belgium and Netherlands. He then went on to play in the 2002 World Cup in Korea and Japan, in the Euro 2004 Portugal tournament, and in the Germany 2006 World Cup. In all of the tournaments that Owen wore an England top, my goodness, did he stand out. Regardless of the situation, he gave it his all. But one game in particular that Michael Owen stood out was the 2001 game against Germany away, a qualifier for the 2002 World Cup. And the reason is, England, for many years, pretty much since the 1966 World Cup, have always had an unforgettable rivalry with Germany. In this particular game in 2001, on away soil, England went 1-0 down against the Germans in 6 minutes. Michael Owen was having none of it. He went on to score a hat-trick for England, and England won the game 5-1. And England fans who were around at that time have never forgotten it. Owen was of course a part of many teams who never won anything major with the England squad. But that really doesn't matter, because he was a sensational player who kept many people's dreams and hopes alive. And somebody who gave it his all at every single moment in every single game that he wore the Three Lions on his shirt. Back to Liverpool then. Michael Owen was on fire at the club, scoring in almost every game, winning the FA Cup, the League Cup, the Charity Shield and the UEFA Cup, to name a few. But after 8 seasons and many, many unforgettable memories, Owen was to make a move, and to a place where many of the best players in the world go to. Of course, he was off to Real Madrid. However, Owen and Real Madrid didn't quite click like many would have hoped it would. And this isn't something which is uncommon. Over the years, there have been plenty of great players who have joined great teams. But it just didn't work out. And after 1 season with the club, Owen returned to England. But this time, he would return to the Premier League and join the black and white stripes of Newcastle United. Owen made many appearances for Newcastle over the 4 seasons, doing plenty more of what he had done at Liverpool, sticking the ball through the keeper's legs and across the box, pinging the ball off the inside of the post and into the back of the net. Michael Owen properly finished his playing career at Manchester United, where he won the Premier League, and then he had a handful of games at Stoke before hanging his boots up. Michael finished his career a legend of football, but in particular a legend of Liverpool and of course England. He was a goal-scoring machine. He was a Ballon d'Or winner, a player who you always wanted on your side, a player who will be spoken about forever. I hope that you've enjoyed listening and learning about all things to do with Michael Owen. And remember, if you know someone who loves football just as much as you do, then please tell them about Football for Kids. And whether you're playing football soon, watching it on the telly, or pitch side, I hope that you enjoy the game. See you next time.